The India Way. Lessons for the U.S. Emerging Trends in Human Resource Management. Lessons for the U.S. Issues Facing Organizations. The problems and issues facing many organizations in the United States and abroad are varied. How to gain more market share and increase revenues, supply chain issues, international laws, partnerships at home and overseas, and the rising cost of overhead and human resources to propel and achieve the company objectives and goals. While surrounded by competition, the issue becomes creating a competitive advantage. Short-term versus long-term problems. Companies may have many assets to manage to grow shareholder value. These assets could be machinery and other physical equipment or non-physical assets such as stocks and bonds. Employees are also considered an asset referred to as human capital. Human capital can be overlooked depending on the company's culture and mindset. In the short term, if a company is efficiency-based traditional human resource (HR), as opposed to using the strategic human resource (HR) model, they will be mainly concerned with production output and efficiency, and not consider human concerns regarding talent, ideals, feelings, and skills that an employee brings with them. An example of an efficiency-based company culture could be workers in a post office or a trucking business where time is of the essence and there are deadlines to meet, or the company could suffer financial loss. India's strategic HR is a long-term approach and should be a consideration for companies seeking sustained long-term growth. Organizations using the top-down approach and showing little or no appreciation for the employees that support the company's growth may need to realize that the traditional HR approach may work well in the short term. Still, in the long run, these companies may lose valuable share prices and unique human capital to a competitor who knows the value of knowledgeable and creative people. Every business should take a page out of India's playbook. India has resolved the issue regarding the treatment of dissatisfied workers. Doing so has increased productivity in many areas, surpassing the United States. By India businesses investing in its human capital and the communities in which they live, India has a much better statistical leadership analysis than the United States, in just about every aspect when comparing the two countries. Another short-term scenario would be a company being the first to introduce a product or service and gain market share until another competitor introduces the same product. To overcome this short-term gain from losing market share to a competitor, an organization can develop a product or service unique to the company's brand, and somebody cannot easily duplicate the product or service. But even better, if the company were to invest in its human capital, lasting relationships could be nurtured and built between the consumer, community, and the company to create a loyalty bond due to using strategic HR techniques. Thereby, the client keeps coming back with referrals for the company, and the employee feels self-worth and would be less likely to leave the company and work for a competitor. However, suppose a company is serving the public. In that case, human assets can be of value to stakeholders to make more sales and establish more business and personal relationships for company growth to gain consumer loyalty. So in the short term, a company may grow without considering the feelings of its human assets and is only concerned about meeting deadlines. Still, the company that cares and invests in human assets statistically will have long-term growth and sustainability in the market. Some American companies understand this principle. These companies have applied it to the company culture. Considering employee feelings and concerns, the organization provides more freedom to the employees, which fosters more pleasant working conditions. By doing so, the organization may get the extra mile of effort, work, and commitment from the employee's support and desire to stay with the company because of the benefits offered. Pros and cons of the issues. With the above traditional HR culture mainly adopted as the U.S. model, India trumps the U.S. in many areas that contribute to a company's growth, stability, and support from the community. India's investment in its human assets and the community provides a more stable growth platform for its companies, with various categories regarding GDP and other challenges that come with doing business. India surpasses the U.S., especially since the company's human assets are part of families in the community. With India's focus being more towards the community, the U.S. can learn valuable lessons in ways to do business in such a way to sustain more growth and move the company forward into the future, retaining the human capital. Conclusion and assumptions. With a diverse marketplace, competition is fierce, with many organizations competing for the same clientele. The conclusion is that there are many moving and changing parts and issues, along with various points of view on how to position a company for growth when it comes to being the best in the market. For the company to be successful, it must dig deeper into the metrics of its positioning in the market, while expanding and diversifying its human capital. With many factors to consider, the task requires an open-minded company culture. An example is demographics. Where is the target customer located? If they are in another country, the company needs to be aware of areas that could deter a customer from purchasing from the company. One example is, depending on the product or service, it could require the company to change the colors of its brand or product to coincide with the colors of the target market's national flag or its favorite sports team. It would not be wise to use the colors of the target country's competitors. It is the understanding of cultural differences that will distinguish the company's success from the competition in this case, and having invested human capital that will joyfully produce the necessary awareness and actions to get the job done. With a commitment and care for the company's growth and the community, human capital will feel the joy and accomplishment of being part of a company that they can help move forward. Then the company and shareholders' value can reap the rewards because the India way has lessons for the United States.